In the middle of a government shutdown where there are plenty of dedicated federal employees that aren't getting paid, Donald Trump has filed a claim against the government seeking hundreds of millions of dollars of alleged costs he incurred in defending himself against various investigations and wrongdoing that he engaged in. This is the height of hypocrisy. It's the definition of conflict of interest, and we're going to unpack some of that today. I'm Shant Karnikian. That's Brian Kabateck. This is another installment of Civil Action on the Legal AF Network. If you like Legal AF, if you like our program here, remember to hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with us. Hit that like button, share this with anyone who you think might find this useful. We appreciate your support in doing that. So this is a very interesting thing. It's kind of absurd. I cannot believe that we have to talk about it. He is the first president in history to try to turn the office of the president into some kind of being investigated into a profit center. The grift continues. This is the next level of grifting. I'm almost impressed by this.
Well, he's already turned it into a profit center, Sean. Let's be honest with each other. He's already turned this into a profit center. He's actually now become a billionaire. He wasn't before, but now he's become a billionaire. So the first thing I think we need to explain and put our lawyer hat on is how you sue the government, whether it's your, local county or city, or whether it's the United States of America. And the first thing you basically have to do, and I know it sounds ridiculous, is you have to ask permission. You have to give them a chance. And you submit what's called a federal tort claim. Yeah. And that basically is a claim that you send to the federal government. You say, here's my claim, here's the horrible things you've done to me, and here's how much money I want. And I want to just tell people that I've been a lawyer for many decades. I've been in the law since the 1980s, in the early 1980s, before I was a lawyer even. I have never seen any government, whether it's the federal government or the tiniest local city, pay a claim. They reject them, which then gives you the right to file a lawsuit.
Right.
And what happens is you file a claim, and there's a very set period of time, and this is important. There's a set period of time. The federal tort claim you have to bring, I believe, within 2 years of an event occurring giving rise to the claim. Yep. And once you submit the claim, the government decides whether to pay the claim, reject the claim, or negotiate with you. And they can do any of those. And I've never seen them pay or negotiate. I've almost exclusively seen file the lawsuit and we'll talk.
Either they reject it or they let it expire, and they have 6 months to act or not act. And then after those 6 months, you have 6 months to file the lawsuit. Why that's important here is because, well, let's talk about what Trump is claiming. So he's seeking like $230 million, like $250 million in damages, right, mainly tied to defending himself or hiring lawyers, paying for lawyers in relation to the special counsel.
And Sean, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. I apologize, but if he paid those lawyers $230 million, he should sue them.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, the ragtag bunch of idiots that he had representing him, in my opinion, so don't sue me, it is unbelievable that he would have paid him $230 million. But go on. There's a lot more here.
Sure. So the $230 million he allegedly incurred, and there's no explanation, by the way, of how that number is calculated. So who knows? Maybe they're lawyer fees. Maybe he has some weird thing about opportunity costs. He could have invested this money and it would have turned into 230. Who knows? But anyway, it's for defending and dealing with the FBI and special counsel probe into his 2016 campaign's ties with Russia, what he calls the Russia hoax. You have to say it 3 times, Brian, every time you say it today. Or the FBI's search of his Mar-a-Lago residence where he took classified documents. The other fun part about this is he says that if he receives some kind of a payout, he's actually entertaining this, by the way. If he receives a payout, he's not sure if he'd keep it. He might give it to some charity. And I'd take a wild guess as to what that charity is. It might be the Donald Trump Presidential Library Foundation, which we all know. And actually, John Oliver on Last Week Tonight did a whole piece on this. This is just a vehicle for presidents, especially Trump, to basically take I didn't know Sean was in
other people's shows now, but that's okay. John Oliver is very good, and he may have more people watching him than we have watching us. But I want to talk.
He's funnier than you, but yeah. Anyway,
he's funnier than me. Yeah, he is.
No question.
The first claim he didn't file until late 2023, and he specifically alleged in that claim that it involved the Russian hoax, which occurred during his first presidency, which means it's outside the statute of limitations for a valid claim. So that's the first problem.
Says you. I'm sure the legal genius that is Donald Trump and his powerful team of idiots has a very great explanation about how the statute of limitations is tolled. Tolling is when it gets paused, I'm sure.
Well, and the problem here, Shant, is that the people who make the decision about the claim, about whether it's a valid claim or not, whether to pay the claim or not, are a completely independent panel of independently picked. No, not at all. It's Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, his lawyers, and ultimately he even admitted it would come across his desk in the White House to ultimately approve the payout.
Not sure what's wrong with that. What do you mean? What are you implying here? Why can't Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche be independent? Why can't Donald Trump be neutral and independent and uninterested about this?
I don't think I even have to answer that question.
I don't follow. No. Yeah, all kidding aside, this is like the definition. It's not very hard to explain this. You don't have to be a lawyer or have gone to law school. This is the definition of conflict of interest when you are making a decision about your own claim against your own government. It's the definition of it. And
Shant, I just want to say this, that when I started law school, my first week in law school, many years ago, one of my professors said, after you've been in law school for about 6 months, an 8-year-old child will have more common sense than you. And this is a perfect example of that a 8-year-old child would look at this and say, you don't get to make those decisions. It's a conflict of interest, right?
That's true.
So you were right about this.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the textbook example, classic example, the simplest way I could explain to a 5-year-old what conflict of interest is. You get hurt and then you owe money and you sue yourself or something like that. You make a claim with yourself. It's insane. It's insane. I don't know how else to explain that. This is, I don't know why he's doing this. I think part of it is I legitimately think it's a grift. It's also maybe to normalize the conduct that he engaged in. And this way, if he pays something out to himself, he can argue that these claims were such nonsense that the federal government paid me money back for investigating me. It's going to be lost on some people.
Well, there's so much here. And I mean, we could spend, an hour talking about this nonsense. First of all, you were right about one thing. It's also, he's claiming reputational damage. He's not just claiming his attorney fees, because God help him if he paid $200 million to that group of people. But he's claiming terrible reputational damages. It really hurt him. It hurt his business interests. No, Don, you hurt your own business interest because you're incompetent. And secondly, reputational damages, you're president of the United States. So I don't know what to say about reputational damages. And you've done enough to damage your own reputation with, a lot of people in this country. But the other point I want to point out is the investigation, the Mar-a-Lago investigation that he's complaining about. And he said they rifled through Melania's clothes and they looked at Barron's school books and school papers. They had a warrant that was signed by a judge, which would immunize the federal government. Believe me, if every time somebody has a warrant served on them, they're unhappy because they've had this warrant served or people have come to their homes, they'd have civil claims. They don't. There are no civil claims for that.
I think this is sort of a lowbrow way of him trying to reinforce a narrative with his base of him being an outsider, the underdog, targeted, treated unfairly. He's targeted by the deep state and political enemies and Biden and the Clinton, or what does he call the Biden crime family and the Clintons, and they all went after him. And this is vindication for him. I think that's what it is. It's to set the stage or further add to that narrative, and for people
I certainly hope
good for him. Yeah,
I know, and I agree with you, Sean. I think it's part of the bigger narrative. It's part of the bigger story he's trying to tell here. It's Kristi Noem releasing these documents that everybody knew about the so-called Russia hoax.
Yeah, Russia. Yeah,
and it's all part of this bigger narrative. But I think that I'd like to see a watchdog group file a lawsuit about this to have this matter removed from his own lawyers making the decision and him ultimately approving this ridiculous claim. So that's my last thought on this. You wrap it up, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, to say this is unusual or weird is generous. It's an understatement. We've never seen something like this, a current/former president seeking compensation from the government for government investigations in relation to his efforts to be in the government. It's just incredibly wild. It's unprecedented, not very different from a lot of the other crap he's done. So it's super interesting. I agree. I think the hammer needs to come down on this and this needs to be stopped, but I've never seen more blatant conflict of interest. I mean, this will be a good thing to be taught in law schools when we're a few years down the road from here. So it's an interesting issue. We'll keep up to date. We'll see how it shakes out. We'll see what Trump decides about Trump's claim against himself. Very weird to say that, but we'll keep you posted on this. This has been another installment of Civil Action. I'm Shant Karnikian. That's Brian Kabateck. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you like this content we put out here on the Legal AF network. We appreciate your support. Share this with whoever you want and share your feedback. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you on the next one.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.